our next presenter, Manal al-Sharif. In May 2011, the secret police arrested Manal at 2 a.m. from her home and imprisoned her for the crime of driving while female. Led to an international outcry. The King of Saudi Arabia issued her a pardon on the condition that she remained silent, but Manal continued campaigning against the ban on women driving and male guardianship in her country. The ban was lifted 3 months after publishing her best-selling book, Daring to Drive, making Saudi Arabia the last country on earth where women won this right. Now, after studying here at the University of New South Wales, just across the road, Manal is a cybersecurity expert. In the last few years during COVID, she's founded the Ethical Technologists Society. She started hosting her podcast, Tech for Evil, that discusses the intersection between tech and human rights. And, this is all during COVID, started writing her second book. She is also regularly listening to the Headspace meditation app on a daily basis. Growing up in a country where she couldn't voluntarily listen to music, I have found out that the first time she voluntarily listened to music was at age 21, and that was the Backstreet Boys. For her activism, Manal was named one of Time's 100 most influential people in the world. She was named by Newsweek one of the world's top 10 digital revolutionaries and Forbes top 50 women in tech. Today, Manal lives under self-imposed exile here in Australia and calls Sydney her little piece of heaven. We thank her for daring to drive, and let's thank her for being here at the Social Good Summit today. Our driver of change, Manal al-Sharif. Please welcome Manal, ladies and gentlemen.
It was 2 a.m. when the secret police came to arrest me from my home. My 5-year-old was asleep in the house that night. I quickly called my activist friends. They went on Twitter. My neighbor knew about the arrest. He hid behind the bush next to my house, and he tweeted live all the arrest incident. The whole world was following my arrest on Twitter. I was sent to the prison, and because Twitter made my arrest public, people did not stop talking. We got support from all over the world. They started a movement called Free Manal, #FreeManal, calling for my release. My arrest was actually because I use social media too. I posted a video of me driving in the city of Khobar on YouTube, and that video was trending, was #1 trending video in Saudi Arabia that day. The king himself had to pardon me for the crime of driving while female, and I was released on the condition of remaining silent. But then, Assalamu alaikum everyone. Peace be upon you. My name is Manal al-Sharif. I'm a computer scientist by education, cybersecurity expert by profession, and an activist by accident. Growing up in Saudi Arabia, the government censored everything, and that including books, newspapers, media, education, you name it. I grew up really locked in my radical beliefs. And it's true, it was the song, Show Me the Meaning of Being Lonely. It was the first song I listened to in my life. And I wouldn't be able to listen to that song without the power of the internet. The late 90s witnessed Saudi Arabia finally allowing the internet. The radicals were really against allowing the internet to be available to the public, because how could you allow something that would pollute their belief system? They were right. I went to study computer science, and even the internet was heavily censored in Saudi Arabia. I managed to bypass every single censorship, and I managed to read. You see, in Saudi Arabia, we have answers, cannot be questioned. But I had a lot of questions that no one could answer for me. No one was willing to answer for me. The internet was my first window to the outside world. I owe it to computer science, and I owe it to the power of the internet to lose my radical belief system. In 2011, social media was used effectively by the Arab youth to do something that's unheard of. You might have used social media to connect with your friends, to post about your breakfast. Arabs used it to topple dictators. And we use it effectively. We'd use a call, we'd post a call for action, and we'd ask people to go out in the street. In countries where we didn't have parliament, or at least elected parliament, like Saudi Arabia, we don't have a parliament, social media gave us a virtual parliament where we can talk with each other, we can find like-minded people, and we can mobilize people offline. But things went really bad as we were campaigning. It took us years, around 7 years campaigning. And as I was using social media, and Saudi Arabia are known to be #1 worldwide when it comes to number of tweets a day, and video views on YouTube too, I've witnessed something sinister happening. I've witnessed so much misinformation being transmitted using social media, so much anger, so much hate. You tweet something, I wake up in the morning and I tweet good morning, and I have so much hate against me, and I didn't understand what was happening to social media. One day, so as we were campaigning, and we won the right in 2017, and women were allowed to drive finally in 2018, all the women who joined my driving movement were sent to jail. I was lucky, I was here in Australia, I escaped jail. But all my friends were locked in prison for the crime of using social media to campaign. 2018, one of my friends who was locked in jail, she sent me a message on WhatsApp. And I said, wait a minute, why, you're out of jail? She said, yes. Why are you talking to me on WhatsApp? It's not encrypted. Talk to me on this. We used, at that time, Wicker. It's an encrypted messenger that activists usually use. Don't use it now, but that time. And she said, no. It doesn't matter what messenger, what encrypted platform you use. They can see and hear everything you do on your phone as if they were sitting next to you. Well, I'm a computer scientist. Let me tell you, scientifically, that's not possible. You see, encryption today, it takes even supercomputers that you don't have at your home. It takes thousands of years to break this encryption. What are you talking about? What are you bluffing? This can't be happening. I couldn't believe it. I thought she's just terrified. Even with quantum computing, which is the future, you need quantum computing to break such encryption. But my revelation came later. A question. What do you think the common thing between Jeff Bezos, the founder and CEO and owner of Washington Post and Amazon, and Manal al-Sharif, a Saudi activist? Can you think of any common thing between us both? Anything? Please, shout out. Money? No, I'm not a Saudi princess, I wish. I don't own an oil, despite the common belief about Saudis. I work for my money. I pay my taxes too. I hate that. I never paid taxes. The common thing between me and Jeff Bezos that we were both targeted by the same man and the same hacking company. It's an Israeli company called NSO Group, and they sell a tool called Pegasus. And Pegasus is exactly the nightmare of activists. is something I have not studied or heard of in my 20 years being a professional in cybersecurity. What this tool does, it's an Israeli company. They claim they sell this very powerful tool to only governments to combat terrorism and national security. Well, again, someone like me in Saudi Arabia is a national security threat. This tool is so powerful that your phone can be hacked without a single click from you. It's called a zero-click vulnerability. How? They send you a message on your iMessage. Usually they use iPhone. Because iPhone is the most private phone, unfortunately, it's the most targeted one by hacking groups. They have they reverse engineer the iPhone operating system. They found all these vulnerabilities that Apple themselves didn't know they exist, and they create exploits. And they're really strong exploit. So your phone, you don't touch anything, it's sitting there. It could be hacked with a zero click. Either they send you a message, a missed call on your WhatsApp. There are so many other ways. So me teaching people about cybersecurity awareness, asking them not to click links from unknown sources really doesn't work with these companies, with such very powerful hacking tools. They can copy your whole full content in 45 minutes. This was the company, the Israeli company, the activists like me were standing against. There's no way to run. There's no way to go. If Jeff Bezos could be hacked, so his phone, I was writing, so now to explain the common thing between me and Jeff Bezos, when I left my country, I started writing for the Washington Post. Another Saudi dissident, Jamal Khashoggi, he's a journalist and a friend of mine. We were both writing for the same newspaper and the same editor. Jamal Khashoggi was assassinated in 2018. And the Washington Post took it on his shoulder to let the world know what happened. And for that, Jeff Bezos was targeted. I had to change my phone maybe 3 times. Now I just gave up. NSO Group, there are no regulations against it. Last year, if you read the Pegasus project, they found out a group of newspapers, there was a list of 50,000 phone numbers believed to be targeted by NSO Group Pegasus. Some of these phone numbers being verified by Citizen Lab, is a not-for-profit organization in Canada for digital security for people like me and journalists. They found numbers of not only activists and terrorists, they found numbers of journalists, heads of states, diplomats, even Macron. They found his phone number, it was targeted. You might think, I'm not an activist. So at that time, with the social media going really, really controlled by the same government that we were going against, they used it to spread misinformation in unprecedented ways. And Jamal Khashoggi being killed, and I was harassed badly. And a lot of my friends were asking me to shut up, just be quiet. I said, this is the time we scream. We don't stay quiet. But I did have to close my Twitter. And not because I was afraid. I felt I lost it to dictators. The same tool that saved my life was putting my life in danger. And now, even after me, even after closing my Twitter account, they're after my phone. You might think that I'm not an activist, I'm not a journalist, I'm not a political dissent. Why should I care? With the pandemic, most of our life moved online. During the pandemic, the rise of private surveillance tools that your employer can buy, put it on your laptop, watch everything you do, even take screenshots, turn on your camera and your microphone while you're sitting in the comfort of your home, rose by 50%. It's a very quiet market. We think that these things only happen to activists. It happens to you. Can I ask a question? Where do you, can I ask about your phones? Raise your phone if you take it with you everywhere. Awesome. Keep it up, raise it, if you keep it charged all the time. Awesome. Keep it up if it's the first thing you check when you wake up in the morning. Our beloved phones that we check before even we touch our partners in the morning, our masters and mistresses, they are used to put us all under surveillance by whoever wants to have power over you. And you might think that your beloved Facebook and Instagram and whatever that you download in your phone are not monitoring you. Well, the current profit-driven, by engagement-driven profit system for most of the social media that we use today is really pushing for misinformation, because it's all about engagement. It's all about keeping us online all the time. It's all about collecting all this information about us and quietly studying us, creating those shadow profiles of us, psychoanalyzers. I'm not kidding you. I'm not my friend who called me when she was in jail. I'm a computer scientist, and I'm telling you, this is happening right now. Keeping us addicted to it and collecting as much information as they can about us without our consent, without our knowledge. And this makes us all vulnerable. The more we're dependent on our phones and technology, the more vulnerable we are. According to Freedom House, 1 in 3 humans on planet Earth live in democratic system. And that leaves 2 out of 3 living under either authoritarian regime or under a regime that's moving towards that. According to Freedom House, last year marks 70 consecutive years of decline in global democracy. It also marks 15 years since Facebook and smartphone. I know you might not see that direct connection now, but I just want to say that privacy is a human right. We should care about our privacy, regardless of how they trained us to be not only under surveillance the whole time, but eager to post and share alike. I'm taking an action. So last year, after losing hope about technology, I started can I ask Reinhard Sosen to stand up? Can you stand up? With this amazing human being I met in UNSW, across the road, we started our Tech for Evil, and he's my co-host, and we educate people. Change, thank you. Change starts with, thank you. Change starts with awareness, and that's what we're trying to do. We're really trying to make people aware of the dangers and the deteriorating of the status of technology today. Dictatorship is really on the rise. And technology is facilitating that, is giving dictators unprecedented tools to monitor us, all the behavior communication happening, and to push their propaganda in unprecedented ways. And I've seen it. We started the Ethical Technology Society, and we're looking for volunteers and sponsors. And in the Ethical Technology Society, we're trying to push that universities, when they teach anything in computer, they have to teach ethics with that. There's a human behind that screen when you create your technology. We're trying to push for regulators and policymakers to ban the sale of weapons of mass surveillance to dictators. We're trying to start the Global Ethical Tech Index. So when you want to buy technology, you want to see how ethical when it was made. Today, we're not facing only a climate crisis or a pandemic. We are facing a digital crisis. Freedom of expression safeguards all freedom. And if we don't take back our digital agency, dictators, authoritarian regime, and countries under authoritarian regime dystopia, current dystopia, is democracy's future dystopia. So I ask you, every time you check your phone, first thing when you wake up in the morning, ask yourself a question: who is in control? Thank you, everyone.